Hello, and welcome to Story Behind the Story, where romance readers and authors connect. I'm Reese Ryan, author of sexy emotional romantic fiction featuring lots of family drama, surprising secrets, and a cast of complicated, sometimes messy characters. And thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited, as I'm sure many of you are too, about my guest today. So, if you want to hear about the amazing Brenda Jackson's 25 years of writing romance, stay tuned. I have all this stuff to tell you about who's coming up in the coming weeks, but let me tell y'all, it has been crazy. I got a book due tomorrow. I don't know who I'm gonna have next week. I don't even know if I'm gonna have a show next week, but I can tell you who I'm gonna have on November the 4th. I will be joined by Miss Beverly Jenkins. So if you, and I have not posted that show yet, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell below so that you'll know when I add new shows to the lineup, and you'll know what's coming up next. So if you enjoy reader-centered author discussions like, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. So we have a lot to talk to Miss Brenda Jackson about today. So let's get into it by bringing her on. And so, hello there, Miss
Hello,
Brenda.
how are you?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. Oh my God, we have 25 people already.
Oh, wow.
So, okay. Everybody, I'm not going to be able to say hello as much as I would like to right now. I see Summer and Casey and Nadira and Ann Thorne, Picard, and everybody. So hello and thank y'all for joining us. We're going to jump right into these questions. So we got plenty of them. But if you want to say hello to Miss Brenda, tell her congratulations on her 25 years, y'all, in writing, by all means, you can do that in the comments and we'll look at them as we have time to do that. So, wow. It is amazing that this all began with Tonight and Forever in 1995, 25 years
Yes,
ago.
it did. Yes.
So Brenda Jackson has become a fan favorite romance author and an icon. And she is now celebrating her 25 years as an author and has more than 15 million books, y'all, in print. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. Oh my goodness. So we're so excited to have you here, Miss
Thank you.
Jackson. Thank you for joining us. So first of all, I love to have authors who join me introduce themselves. So just tell
Oh,
anybody who might not know you, I don't know who that might be, but in case somebody doesn't know you, just give us a little bit about who you are and what you write.
oh, wow. I am Brenda Jackson, and I write romance. I don't make any excuses for writing romance because I love romance. That was a time when romance authors, believe it or not, said I write romance and kept their head down. I never was one of them because I went into this genre knowing what I wanted to write. And it's mainly because I married my childhood sweetheart, and I think we had the best love story. And I tell anyone that there's a soulmate. I had mine, and I thank God for my soulmate who encouraged me, who inspired me, who still is. Um, and so I love writing romance, and it's just a blessing that I'm up to as many books as I am because when I first started writing, 10 books was my limit. I said, okay, I'm going to write these 10 books and that was going to be it because I was a corporate girl. I love corporate America, still do.
Wow.
I love corporate America. I love corporate America. I love it. And my goal was to go up the corporate ladder at State Farm while I was working. And um, all it took was me not getting a job that I thought I should have deserved. I studied, I prepared, and they gave it to someone else who was less deserving. And
Mm-hmm.
so finally, I was so upset. I went up to HR and filed a complaint, and they said, "Well, yeah, you deserve the job, but is that really your job? We know you've written 50 books already. You got a movie out there. You know, BET just made a movie. You know, you made New York Times. Um, You sure this is your job? Maybe this is really not your job. And I'm like, wait a minute, how is this person telling me this is not my job? And I went home and my husband told me the same thing. Maybe it's not your job. And that got me to thinking, well, maybe God gave me this gift and he really want me to use it in between what I think is my job. So I started writing full time and I retired in 2008. But I was the one, and everybody at State Farm knows, I was the one that said, okay, even if I win lotto on Saturday, I'm coming to work Monday. Because
Wow.
I loved my job. Okay, I was going to work both of them in because I still love my job.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Because most of us think the opposite, So wow.
No, I love my job. And they said I loved it because I told them what to do at State Farm. Even at my retirement, they said she ran the company, so that's why she loved her job so much. Anyone that can go to their boss when he puts something on their desk and say, this is an emergency, I need this back within within a couple of hours, I would look at him and say, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. And not get
yeah. I hear that. You said you enjoy that. You like telling people what to do.
yeah, that's true.
So you kind of answered one of the questions I was going to ask you, and this is partially the question that reader Lisa Marshall had asked as well, about how you got started in writing and why you chose writing romance. So you told us it's because you married your childhood sweetheart.
Oh, my baby, yes.
Yes, and so that's what motivated you to. So how did you get started in writing that first book?
Oh gosh. How did I get started? Well, I wrote stories to entertain my classmates when I was in junior high school. Just the regular
I did that too.
Innocent stories. And during this time, I had to write them on longhand notebook paper, and I stood in front of the school on Monday morning, and I had 10 copies. And a couple of them had different endings, but so everybody was there to get my copies, and they went all around the school. I got in trouble with my teachers, the principal, whatever. But my classmates remember me for writing those stories. And so they just assume, I don't know why, I guess they just assume I was going to go to college to become a writer. I'm like, nah, I want to be in corporate America. So I went and got a business administration degree. But every time I would go back to my class reunions, they would ask me, did you write a book? I'm like, no, I don't write a book. And so my husband, after I think it was my 15th class reunion, or maybe it was the 10th, he said, you know what, will you write a book to shut these people up, basically. Do that so you can say, yes, I wrote a book. Because when you tell them no, they look like they're very disappointed.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I ain't got time. He said, make time. You can make time for anything you want to do. He said, I will help you by sending you to your first writers conference or whatever. And he did. He sent me to put me on the plane, and I cried because I had never been on a plane before. Wow. And I went to San Antonio, and I met some of the most wonderful authors that we're still good friends today. I met Vivian Stevens. I met Francis Ray. I met just a lot of Donna Hill, Margie Walker. I just met all of them, and we still maintain our friendship today. Wow. And we motivated each other. But at that time, no one was buying Black romance books. But so we became a social club in a way, because we were going, but we also went there in numbers to make publishers aware of who we were. Wow. And that we wanted to write romance. Even though they didn't think it was a market, we had to convince them that there was a market.
Oh my gosh. So, that's some big names right there that you saw. You were able to meet Francis Ray and Donna Hill. Oh my goodness.
And none of us had been published before.
Wow. Oh my goodness. What a great sisterhood that you were
Yes.
able to create right there.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why when I finally got a chance to go to a conference, I understood why it was so important for authors to attend them and why
Mm-hmm.
it's a disadvantage for us, for many authors of color who can't go to those things because a lot of business happens there. It kind of reminds me of like in corporate America, if you can't golf, you know, a lot of the deals happen on the golf course.
Of course,
And so
yes.
it excludes a lot of us who can't participate. I mean, that's an expensive sport, you know? So
Right.
it definitely, you know, and it's not something that a lot of times we gravitate towards. So it really can leave you out of a
Right.
lot of the
That's true.
networking and stuff that's happening.
That's true. That's true.
And it's very similar with, you know, the conferences and stuff in romance. So, wow. So I was going to ask you, one of the questions I was going to ask you is, what are some of your fondest memories over the past 25 years? That one right there about meeting all of them was a great one for me.
Oh, yeah, because when I first started going to RWA, and I've been a member of RWA now since the 80s. Gosh, that's a long time. It was basically, like I said, we would meet there. I met all these wonderful women who wanted to be authors. And that was something I look forward to going every year just to see them again. And so I was a groupie. You know, I would see my favorite author. You know, I cornered Nora Roberts on the elevator and say, look, I love your books. I mean, and she said, well, come to some of my workshop. I would love to have you in my workshop. So I was a fan for life. And then I
Wow.
got on the elevator with Jane Ann Krantz, and I was telling her, she has written over a lot of books, and I was telling her about my favorite book of hers, and she said, I don't remember that one. You don't remember that? What? And she was writing under another name. It was Stephanie James or something.
Mm.
And so she said, now what name did I write that under? I could tell her the name. I could tell her my favorite pages. So I was really a reader before I became a writer.
Right.
You know, you have to be a reader. You just can't say, oh, I want to write romance and just jump in.
Right.
You have to know the genre you're writing about.
Right. And that's one thing that irritates me that people do sometimes. You hear people say, oh, I'll make some money. I'm gonna write a romance novel. They don't even really read them. They don't know anything about it. They haven't studied it. They just assume they can just jump in and do it. So yeah, like you said, you need to be a reader first. And that's something I found even now when I'm so busy with my deadlines and stuff, I need to find time to read still. So
yes,
absolutely. So you talked about some of your fondest memories, and those are some, oh my goodness, those are some amazing memories that you shared with us there. So what have been some of the biggest challenges that you faced in your career?
Oh, let me see. I think in my earlier career is juggling both. I didn't want to give anything up. I like working, like I said, in corporate America. And then when I started writing books, the publishers wanted more. You know, I'm like, I work full time. You know, these people I work full time, but that's my paycheck. You know, I'm going to get money from them if I don't ever get money from you all. So let me make this clear what I consider my job. Okay. I will work you in. Okay. And so when I did write, I enjoyed writing because I was creating these families. And the first one everyone knows, the Medeiros family. And my husband said, these are not real people, right? He said, I think you like them so because you're in management at work and it's hard for you to get your supervisors and everybody under you sometimes to do as you say. But you will come home, get to this computer, and you control these people. Okay, you tell Clayton Medeiros what he's doing, what he like, what he doesn't like, all of this stuff. And that's why you can become so enthralled by your characters. And he was right that they were not just fictionary characters to me. They became more than just a hobby. They were my relaxation. It's like, okay, dinner's on the table, the boys in bed, my hubby's been taken care of. Now I could go in here and get into the world of the Medeiros family. It was my own personal soap opera. And so I just enjoyed writing about them. They were just fun.
That like you said, you can control what they do. You can craft the world however you want it to be.
Yes, yeah,
and
take them
and
wherever
when
I
things
wanted
are
to
ugly
take
outside in
them.
the world out there, it's nice to be able to create your own little world, right?
Yeah, and of course you had guidelines. When you're writing for a publisher, they
Right.
tell you some of the things that you can do or you can't do. And that's some of the things that readers have to understand that, oh yeah, when you write your own stuff and you are independent or self-published, right, you can throw whatever you want to go in there. But when you write for a publishing house, they have guidelines and you have to follow their guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah. See, we all bump up against those every now and then. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
you
We
have to
want
know
to
you
change
have to know when to
them.
have a good fight, but then yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
always
want
bump
to
into those.
change them, and they'll pull your coattail and say that's a good idea, but we don't do that here.
Yeah, I've heard that before. So let me ask you, and we both know publishing can be a really fickle industry.
Yes,
So, so what factors would you contribute or would you credit your longevity to?
my readers. I give my credit to my readers because some of the same readers who started with me with Tonight and Forever, they are still with me today.
Oh,
And Nora Roberts was one of the ones that when I was in her workshop, she made clear that you always respect your readers, that don't just go to them when you got a new book you want them to buy. They should be more to you than just a consumer. That if you're a writer, you've created this world and they're excited about your world.
yes.
And so you should be excited that they're excited. And I found out the hard way when I went to RWA a couple of times, and some of my favorite authors, I would approach, and they say, "Look, I don't have time. See me at the book signing."
Oh
And I mean, they
wow.
were just, I'm like, wait a minute, I done paid my last $4.99 for your
Oh
book.
no.
I done paid my
Wow.
last $4.99 for your book. Uh, and you can't at least let me tell you how much I enjoy it.
Wow.
And I said I would never treat my readers that way
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all I would be is another book on the shelf at a bookstore unless a reader picked it up. So I respect my readers and I pretty much credit them for my longevity. If it's something, I had another author told me, you need to stop writing series. This series has gone on long enough for you. And I said, and when my readers tell me enough is enough for this
Mhm.
series,
Right.
then I will end the series.
Right.
But I won't ever end. I always leave it open. They may be back. You never know when they may come back because they're people. And unless you're killing them off, we looked at enough soap opera, and I used Another World, and I was Another
That used,
World
that
at it.
used to be one of my
And for
jams.
20 years, I thought Stephen Crane was dead. Stephen Crane was dead. And then after 20 years, he came back. So anybody can come back from the dead. Stephen Frame, this is his name.
Yeah, that is one thing that used to amaze me because I used to watch it when I was in high school. Is how a character could die, and they would even die in a way you were like, "Oh, I know this one not coming back."
I
Yes,
mean,
they
if there is
would.
a body, unless there's a body, there's a possibility. I found that out. So unless even sometimes with a body, you don't really know. Okay, but typically, unless it's a body, that's a possibility. You'll see them again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, not to mention
Oh,
the fact that a lot of times they'll use the evil twin, so they had the same person come back.
yes, yes.
Oh my gosh! So,
Dacia Drummond, I think that's her name. Dacia, I like that name, Dacia. I'm gonna tell you again. I like that name, Dacia. Usually, when I tell people I like their name, it's a hint that you'll see your name in a Brenda Jackson book eventually. I tell people, I like your name. They say, yes, I like
That's
your
funny
name.
because that's one of the questions that someone asked. I have to look and see who it was, but somebody did ask how you come up with the names for your characters because they're usually pretty unique. And so, how do you come up with those names? So you just answered part of
I
that.
just answered, yes. Even though I haven't met a thorn yet, even though some of the names just come to me. Clayton didn't, I know someone named Clayton, Justin, the earlier books, but now it's like, okay. And I have a wonderful person who assists me, Brenda Woodbury, who's the moderator of my book club. She does me a favor by keeping up with all my names of my heroes and all the names of my heroines, so I don't repeat them. Because you run out of names, okay, unless you want to mix some up, like Kunta Kinte or whomever. In fact, she asked me the other day, she said, you do know you've used this particular heron name twice. And I'm not going to tell you because sometimes we're going to use these questions in a little contest. And I'm like, I have. She said, yes, you have. And when she told me what it was, I'm like, oh, that can't be helped. Oh, well.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And that was Shainthia Thonic Farley Hembry who asked that question about where do you get the names for your characters. So
what's her name? Say that name again.
So it's Shainthia. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I am so sorry. It's SHUYINTHIA is her first name.
Wow.
So that's who
deep.
asked.
That's deep. But hey, when I introduced the name Sunita, a lot of people say, did you make that up? No. At the time, my good friend, who's still a very good friend of mine, name is Sunita. That's her real name. That's her name, Sunita. So, there are people with names, I'm not going to say odd, they're different.
Yeah. Yeah, unique. And so I love seeing that names that are different like that. So now let me ask you about an honor you had of having a brother's honor made into a movie. Tell us about that experience.
Whew, gosh. A lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes with an author. Mm-hmm. Even though people be writing me and say, you need to get your books made into movies or whatever. And I did True Everlasting. And I did it with my own money, my husband's money, put it that way, because he was older. And I'm like, now when you can get your 401k money out? Plus he was okay because he wanted to see, we had sent my oldest son to film school, college for film for 8 years. I said, you could have been a doctor, but he wanted to be a film director. And he went to an Ivy League school. He went to Columbia in New York. And then he came out and then he got his master's degree at Florida State in film, went to the film school. We wanted to know what he could do. So that's what he did. And so I already knew what it was. I'm one because of my corporate background. I got to know how to do things on my own. So I made my own movie, so I knew what to expect, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mm-hmm, and that was because my first movie, which was made by BET, did not go like I wanted it to go with my movie, which with the book, from book converted to movie. And I always said that I wanted to control the process the next time. And I controlled when I made my own movie. Now, when A Brother's Honor, I was at Romantic Times and word was out that was some movie people there. Well, I had already stretched movie people, Hollywood, off my list. The last time someone from Hollywood asked me about A Brother's Honor, they said, we want A Brother's Honor. Someone from Hollywood called me. And so I got all excited, A Brother's Honor, got my attorney involved. and they sent him over the paperwork, and he called me. He said, did they mention to you that they want to make your characters white? I'm like, what?
Wow.
What? That's why you always should have an attorney, because I didn't, I'm like, I'm just looking at the money part of it.
Wow.
I didn't go through the fine line that say they have, you're giving them. Say, no, 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 no. I don't think you understand. These are Black
Wow.
men.
Right.
And so we had a conference, and they told me basically, it would be hard sell for people to believe that a Black family actually owns their, this company. I'm like, really?
Wow.
Really? Yes. They thought that an aeronautics company owned by a Black family and 3 Black men run it. I'm like, why do y'all think we just push drugs or do whatever? And they didn't say anything, but by their silence told me everything.
Exactly.
And I told her, I don't care how much they're offering me, I'm walking away from this.
Right.
Because in my mind, the Grangers were Black. And so when Passion Flick approached me, that was the first thing I asked them. When they said, what they wanted, I said, you do know this is, first of all, they didn't approach me for the Grangers. They wanted the Protectors. And so I'm like, they met me and they said, we read the Protectors. I said, I didn't think of the Protectors until you read the Grangers. Because the Grangers come before the Protectors. And they say, really? I said, yeah. You need to read the Grangers, because that's the second. And they could have said, look, we know what we want. Sorry, you ruined your chance. But they were intrigued enough to read the Grangers. And they say, you're right. We need the Grangers before the Protectors. So the first thing I asked, are you going to change anything about them? And they say, no, we make the movie by the book. But I had heard that before.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I heard before. But the more I got to talking to Tosca Musk, the more I got to know her. And that's when I knew. And when she sent me the paperwork, I sent it to my attorney. He said, this is the type of contract, because basically they making you a consultant. They can't do anything, even on the set, without your approval. And so I thought that was wonderful. And it was a really good experience with them.
I'm so glad to hear that, especially after having a disappointing experience.
Yeah.
It's so good that one turned out that way, and that they respected your book and they respected the characters and what have you.
And they still do. And we're just waiting on the pandemic to cease so we could go into book 2.
Oh, that's excellent news. I was going to ask you about that. Okay, that's great news. Did everybody hear that? So they're waiting for the pandemic to be over so they can go into filming book 2.
Yeah.
And tell people how they can watch A Brother's Honor.
A Brother's Honor. You can watch it. You can go to Prime Video and do Amazon Prime. Honor, Amazon Prime. And they could, I guess, charge you, because it's a streaming service. Okay, you don't watch it for free. Okay, you're either going to pay Passion Flick, or you're going to pay for Prime. Most people do Prime because they're a Prime member, but you still have to pay $5.99 a month. But you get to watch all the movies that Passion Flick has done, and they have done a lot of movies. I get the question all the time, why are your movie the only movie Passion Flick has done? And the reason is that their platform called for best-selling authors that are USA Today best-selling authors. That's what their investors asked for to start off, which businesswoman in me knew it made perfect sense, because you're starting off, you need readers, and they feel that the best-selling authors, if nothing else, they come in with their readers. Once we get the readers in, and a lot of people know about it, then we could start opening it up to New York, USA Today, national best-selling authors, and others. That made perfect sense to me because Passion Flick was unknown. So you pick New York Times best-selling authors, and that's what they explained to me. That's what I explained to my readers. My readers accepted it. They was fine with it. I think a couple of authors got salty about it because, they felt that their work should have been considered as well. But evidently they were not listening to the explanation that Tosca had. They gone to the presentation. She explained everything. So anyway, but I enjoyed the experience, and I'm hoping now, and I'm not going to say even now it makes a difference because I think thanks to my readers, Brother's Honor is doing very well, but it could be doing better compared to the white movies that are out there because again, they came with their readers, and not only their readers, they came with others that supported them. And I think Brothers Honor got support, but I think it could have gotten better. And people gotta understand, it's all about the money. Some people look at it and say, well, I look at it again when Brenda Jackson make another movie. That's good for Brenda Jackson. But to open it up for others, you have to show that there's an audience for others.
Right.
And if they don't think there's an audience for others, they're not going to bring anybody on. I mean, it's common sense to me. And sometimes my son say, Mom, it's common sense to you because you work in corporate America, and that's why I try to educate other authors. I try to educate my readers that we're in the minority, but we have to show that our money buys just as much as anybody else's money buys. But the only way we can do that is to get behind something that we really believe in. So whether it's my movie, whether it's now Mrs. Bev's Hopeville, we got to get behind it to show that we want it. Because if the rating's not good, and if they think, okay, we're putting all this money in there and only a few people are looking at it, they're going to replace it with something else. I mean, it's a business decision. So we need to stop, and I call it the crab in a basket mentality. We're all in this together. We all have to help each other. And until we do that, we won't ever get beyond where we need to be.
And I definitely understand from a business perspective why they're looking for New York Times, at least to start off with, because I think I was at that RT where you were as well when they first were introduced. And then, like you said, they were unknown, and so I can understand why they would start there. And so I can definitely but from the other side of it, I think of how publishers can help better position some of their authors of color so that they do hit New York Times or other lists and stuff, so they can be in a position to do something like that. So I think that's something from a business perspective we can look at from both sides.
Right.
I understand why they have to do it that way, but then I understand why. Then I'm thinking about how publishers can approach it to help us to get in those positions and stuff. So that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, especially because at the time Passion Flicks was new. And so, so thanks for sharing the explanation about why, what they were looking for in terms of how they were picking their authors.
And with the publisher, I'll tell authors, do not depend just on the publisher. If I depended on Harlequin or any of the other publishers that make New York Times, I wouldn't have made New York Times. I depended on my readers. Again, I put everything back on my readers.
Right.
I mean, you can make the New York Times without, as an independent author, you don't have to have a publisher. So I don't want authors to think that, I know I didn't just make it because of my publisher. I put a lot of my own money, along my time, along my own promotion. But I had readers backing me. I had readers believing in me. And they knew, okay, this is what we need to do. That first week of sales, the book comes out.
It's so important.
That's when you basically hit the pavement, make
Right.
calls, do advertisement. I've bought spots in magazines. It costs a lot, but it's a business. And I guess I think of everything, the businesswoman in me saw it as a business expense that was going to be a return on my investment.
Right.
And that's how I look at it. So I definitely don't want, and I agree that if you have a publisher behind you that can help, but don't just depend on a publisher.
Right.
You need to get out there and know your readers, form a relationship with your readers, write the type of books they enjoy reading. And if you write those type books and you let your readers know, this week, I need you to get out there and I advertise it. This is the first week of sale, and you educate them. I want to make a list. This is the first week of sale. I need y'all to go out there and buy a book. Don't just buy one, buy two, give it away.
Right.
Give it to grandmama, give it to a church member, give it to somebody.
Yeah.
And you will be surprised how you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to hear how you did that, because like you said, because a lot of times readers don't realize that when it comes to things like marketing and stuff, a lot of times they just assume, oh, the publisher's doing it, and it doesn't. That's not necessarily true. A lot of times, a lot of the stuff that an author has to do, they have to do on their own. The publisher might help
on their own.
The publisher might help, and a lot of, and you might have a publisher, especially if you are higher on the list, that gives you a lot of support, but a lot of the authors don't have that support. And like you said, a lot of advertising can be very expensive. So not everybody can afford that. But organizing your readers and stuff, that's definitely something everybody can do. So that's
I always wanted to advertise in Essence, okay? Yeah. And I called Essence and I said, I want to buy a 1/4 of a page ad. And he told me it was $30,000. I'm like, what? 30? I don't know how much.
I cannot whistle. I have never been able to learn. I've never learned how to whistle. But if I could whistle, I would have definitely whistled on that one.
30,000 for just the little. He said yes. But just think of the people you would reach. Yeah, well, I'm not going to sell $30,000 in books as a return on my investment. So I think that authors, first of all, need to know, until you reach a certain, because again, the publisher's in it to make money. They're not going to help you to start out with. You're just, especially you in series, you just one of them in the slot of other authors, like what happened with Kamani, Desire. You're just one. So you have to try to become a breakout author. Until you show your sales, until they say, oh, this person making us money, you just in the pile, you just in the group. And the same thing happened to me. Until I start making the money, then they start noticing Brenda Jackson. But until I made the money, I was just there.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that about a breakout book. What would you say your breakout book was?
Let me think what my breakout book was. If I had to pick one out of the Madeira series, I think all of my Madeiras is because they were a continuation. And readers were always looking for the next book because I set it up that way. Like I said, it was like a soap opera. I set it up. You knew Clayton. I think certain books people just waiting for. They were waiting for Clayton's book. They were waiting for Trevor's book. And then when I did Trevor, then they had to get Sir Drake. And they had to get And Sir Drake book is the book that made USA Today because they wanted that. And I was the first Black romance author to make USA Today, and that was with Sir Drake book in the Midnight Hour. Because people wanted his book. I would say Sir Drake book was my breakout book.
Okay.
But for me, I think A Family Reunion and A Ties That Bind. Those two, especially A Ties That Bind, because I think people took my writing who normally would, oh, I don't read romance. They saw A Ties That Bind as something, it was a romance story, but it was so full of history of that time. They thought, oh, I think they took me a little serious. And it's the bed, kissy books, They saw that as a little bit, because then professors started using that book in class on different campuses. I'm like, really?
Wow.
And I was really honored and surprised that they did that.
That's awesome.
But there was some hot stuff in Ties That Bind now.
I love it. I love it. So tell us about a little bit about your recent release, Entangled Pursuits.
Oh gosh, this book here, Entangled Pursuits, okay? I don't think my readers know how I fought for this book. Because one thing, and again, I always go back to my readers, I don't make them promises that I don't plan on keeping. And the story behind Entangled Pursuits was that it should have followed with Harlequin right after The Protector. That was basically how it was. You got the Grangers, you got the Protectors, and Entangled Pursuits. I mean, the Men of Action was the third series, all connected. And for some reason, after I finished the last Protectors, and the Protectors did very well, and I had already started looking at CSI and all these other shows to get in the mindset of two detectives and all of that. And Harlequin came to me and said, I was at the end of the contract, and they came to me and said, we want you to do something different. I'm like, really? Really? Say, yes, you wrote a book a few years ago that was called A Silken Thread. We really liked it. It did very well. You got a big crossover audience. And we see that small town type romances are on the rise. In fact, they had statistics to show me that right now, readers, they like the action-packed stuff, but then they like this. But right now, Mirror, and HQN, we're leaning more toward the small town books. I'm like, what are you saying? They're saying, we want your next 3 books to be a small town. I'm like, and what about Men of Action? What about, well, do those, and then you can go back to Men of Action. I said, okay. Maybe by the time I do that, go back to it, the readers would have, they're ready. So anyway, I did that. I wrote the 3 books. I wrote Love in Catalina Cove, Forget Me Not, and Finding Home Again. And so then when I was almost halfway through it, Finding Home Again, without even asking them, I just assumed I was through, but they said 3. I said, oh, and everybody wanted to know about the characters I introduced and, the books. And so I said, okay, well, I'll write a little book just, to satisfy my readers, because I'm thinking I'm through. And so I even told Harlequin, I'm writing this Christmas book based on Catalina Cove, and then I'm going to be writing, the Men of Action. It's okay. And I don't know, somewhere down the line, somebody had a big powwow meeting. They looked at sales and said that the Catalina Cove series sold 3 times as well as the Protectors.
Wow.
And see, they told the wrong person that, because I'm like, and your point? Because it's not always about the money. It's
Mm.
like my readers don't want no more Carolina Cole. They want men of action. And they say, well, Harlequin want Catalina Cole. I say, well, that means you got to release me out of men of action, because I'm going to write the men of action. Because I promised my readers 3 books ago they were getting the men of action. So if you're not going to do it, then you need to release me out of the promise that I would do it.
I love it.
And I will do it under my own company.
Right.
And so they said, well, why can't you wait till after you give us 3 more Catalina Cole's books, then write? I'm not going to have my readers wait that long. Are you kidding me? That's 6 years. No. And so that's it. Let me give you something else to think about while y'all going in y'all little power on me. Remember, I'm corporate America, so I know how it works, right?
Yeah.
I say, and another thing, y'all done forgot about the Madeira series. I owe my readers a Madeiras book. Okay, it's been 3 years since they got Best Laid Plan. So before I even write a Catalina Cole's book, before I even write a Men of Action, I got to give my readers a Madeiras book. Okay, so now y'all figure that one out. So they did. I know. They did. They basically came back to me and say, we will release the Men of Action. We prefer you didn't write it because we want it. Well, if you want it, you need to get it. But we want you to write 4 Catalina Cole's books instead of 3. Would you write 4? I say, and what about my Madeiras book? They say, could you put a Madeiras in Catalina Cole? So, I guess I can, as long as they ain't got my Madeiras are Texans. They can't stay there. They could visit, temporarily be there, and my readers will know they just there for what. And that's how the next book, Follow Your Heart, came about. It is a combination Catalina Cole book and a Madeiras book, because Victoria Madeiras moved temporarily to Catalina Cole. They like to call it a Catalina Cole book. I call it a Madeiras book. Doesn't matter. The book is coming out. My readers, I believe, are going to love it. They get 3 more Catalina Cole books. And I got to write my first Men of Action book. So, and one thing they did ask if they could do the audio. And I am going to let them do the audio for it.
Okay.
So that's good. The audio is coming out. And someone said, why the audio wasn't out when the book finished? Look, I write these books in between my contracts. I'm not crazy. I know when I could write my books. Remember, when I was working, I knew who my paycheck was. So these books here is no different. They are my book under my own company, and I can only write them when I have a spare moment to write them in between what I owe Harlequin. Right now, I'm only writing Westmoreland and Outlaw books and Catalina Cole books. Those are the only 2 books I'm writing. So whenever I see, I have 3 months in between here. Pandemic, what else you gonna do?
That's right.
Hey, Hallmark keeps showing the same movies over and over, and let me get entertained with my own stuff. So, yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, let us transition. Thank you so much for those stories and stuff are great, and learning all of that background stuff that we didn't know. So now let's transition and ask some of the readers' questions. Ms. Jackson is giving away 5 of her commemorative mugs for her 25 years in publishing. And so 3 of the readers who submitted questions in advance in my readers group are going to be winners. And then I'm going to pick 2 people from today. So the first question I'm going to ask was one of the ones that was presented earlier. And it was a reader in my group, Michelle Hines McCormick, asked, "Is it ever too late to start writing? Asking for a friend, hint, hint, hint." She just celebrated a big birthday recently.
Never, ever. And I tell people, everybody have a story to tell. Okay. No, it's never too late to start writing. So
Absolutely.
get
Like you said,
at
you
it.
got time right now, right?
That's
Why
right.
not try your hand on it? And
That's
plus there's so
right.
many great classes and stuff out there. That's another great thing about RWA is there's accessible classes.
Yeah.
Most of them are priced really low. Some of them
Right.
are free. A lot of them are like $30, $50, whatever. You could take it right
Right.
online and you can
Mhm.
learn about it. Not to mention all of the books you can get it at your library or
Yeah.
buy on Amazon. So yeah, absolutely. And then Wanda Humphreys asks, how do you pick the scriptures in the opening of your book?
Oh gosh. Usually they are my favorite scriptures that I read daily. And I do a thought for the day also on my fan page. And those are thoughts that I need something to encourage me. And when I'm writing a book, I try to have a scripture front and center that gives me so much strength from day to day. Lord, let me finish this book before deadline. And so I try to come up, in the back of the Bible, if I'm writing about whatever I'm writing about, I see what scriptures may relate to that subject. If it's where it's animosity, hate, whatever it is, and I read that scripture, say, yeah, I need to read this scripture because you're in these people's minds. And some of these people's minds are not good. So you need the scripture when you write the book to remind you it's for entertainment purposes only. But you have to, and especially when I wrote my Grangers, I did not curse. Would not say a curse word in my books too much prior to the Grangers. But in order to get in Dalton Granger and the Granger's brothers that say F off, it's like if it was an everyday word. I'm like, gosh, how could I do this? I'm a Sunday school teacher, my gosh. But I had to get in the character. And I went to my minister and I told him, this, he said, well, you don't ever curse. So I know it won't be you, it's a character. I'm like, good, you got that. You got that. And he got it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. And then Sharon Eatman Rowland asked the question
Hi,
when writing.
Sharon.
Yeah, I love her. When writing a series, do you already know how many books will be in the series and their book titles?
No. First of all, even after how many years I'm writing with, we have to negotiate on my titles.
Yes.
All my titles don't become my titles. I always have to have a title in order to start a book. Okay. And I let Harlequin know, look, if y'all want to change this title, y'all better do it the first week. Because I like to incorporate my title into my story. Somewhere you're going to see me mention my title of the book. And I do that because it's ingrained in me. So if y'all want to change the title, because after you change it, I may not be able to write that book. Okay. And so they work with me and they either agree or disagree with my title. And if they disagree with it, they tell me long before I even really get started in the book what the title is. And if I don't agree with it, then we negotiate on that title. So as far as the number, no. When I wrote the Westmorelands, it was just supposed to be Delaney, her brothers. Halfway through, they said, did not know they have cousins. Well, everybody got cousins. So I said, okay, I'll come up with the cousins. And then I was through with the Atlanta Westmorelands. And I was through. When I finished Reggie's book, I thought that was going to be it. And they came back, we need to find some more cousins somewhere. And so that's what we did. Usually I try to make a short series. If anyone would have told me that the Westmorelands would end up with over 30 some books, I would not have believed them. But they have. The Steels, when I wrote the Charlotte, North Carolina Steels, that was supposed to be the end of it. So a lot of times the size of your series is driven by readers' interest. Not only readers' interest, but again, your publisher. If they want you to continue to write for that series, especially if people are into the series. I honestly don't see the Westmorelands. Hi.
My internet died. Thank you for carrying on.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I was gonna call you. I thought I was
You
the one that
did
was
call me,
talking,
and like,
and
my internet
somebody
died.
wrote me and said you're still on there. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let me continue talking.
I'm glad you did. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think Sharon's question again was, do I determine the series? And my answer is no. My readers determine the series, or the publisher continue. I think I'll be 80 years old, still writing the Westmorelands, all their grandkids stories, if the readers wanted them. And my publisher wanted me to write them.
I
But,
love it.
At some point I retired, and I don't ever say end. I retired. As you know, I retired the Steels, I retired the Montgomerys, but you'll see them back. I mean, and that's when I like the cross book. You may see the Montgomerys appear in a Westmoreland book or in a Medeiros book. People know each other.
That's always fun when stuff like that happens. I love that.
Yeah.
Jermaine Brown Corbett asked the question. First of all, she said, "Hi, Miss Brenda. I really enjoy your books. The Westmorelands are a riot. What made you write about them, and how many books are in the series?"
Okay, let me see. I think it's, oh Lord, 37 books in the West, I think. I'm not sure. Brenda Woodbury keeps up with all that stuff for me, but I think it's in the 30s. I know that. All I do is write. I know, yeah. And I know it's in the 30s because the Atlanta Westmoreland was 15. The Denver Westmoreland was 15. Bain was the 15th book. I was 2. And then they wanted these other cousins. And while we were under contract negotiations, I wasn't sure whether I wanted them to have my outlaws. So while we were discussing it, I wrote about Bain's friends. So everybody got friends, and Westmoreland didn't have any friends, but it was so many of them, they didn't need friends. I like Bain needs some friends. So I wrote about Bain Seal friends. And then after Bain Seal friends, then by that time we had reached an agreement we could do the outlaws. So there are 6 outlaw books, a Garth outlaw book. It comes out, I got my copy. It comes out in December. And he's just the oldest of everybody else. So everybody, and I have one reader, a good friend and a reader, who has a crush on Riley. And she says she like Garth because he looks like Riley. Whatever.
All right. And now we have a question from Angela Billups.
Hey, Angela.
And she says, Brenda Jackson is one of my favorites. Are we going to see more Steels and Medeiros books? Also, are we going to find out more about Raphael Westmoreland?
Yes, I think when I do the outlaws, then you will find out about Raphael, because there's a mystery about why their dad Bart doesn't want to be a Westmoreland, why he doesn't want to be, I haven't figured out why yet. Everybody think I know. I really don't know.
I love it. Sometimes you figure it out as you go.
Else. Man, these people look like your boy. What is your problem? I haven't figured out what his problem yet, okay? But I will. By the time the last book, everybody's gonna know what his problem was. I'm gonna come up with a good one. I hope it'll be a good one. As far as seeing steals, I don't think I've crossed the steals with the Madeiras yet. I crossed the steals with the Westmorelands because Quade married a steal. But the Madeiras is different. And I try to explain to my readers that because Madeiras was my very first family, I protect them with certain contracts that the others. And you write for series, so you know the Westmorelands a series, the Steels a series. The Westmorelands are considered single title, and you shouldn't mix single title with a series. Now, I may do it once in a while and get away with it, but you try not to contract wise. So that's why you won't see a Steele marry a Madeiras, or a Madeiras meets a Steele or whatever. But you try to keep those series separated because of the type of books they are.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Yes.
All right. So Tori Brown asks, first of
Hi,
all,
Tori.
She says, one of my favorite authors. After 25 years of writing, what keeps you motivated to continue to write, and what inspires you? And Marlene Watts also asked a similar question. So I'm giving both of them credit for that question.
What keeps me motivated is my readers. I mean, when they say, you don't write fast enough, I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't write. I'm writing, 6, 7 books a year, and I don't write. I do have a life. You may not think that, but, I have movies, I have family, I have friends, I have all of that. So that keeps me motivated. My readers keeps me motivated. What keeps me writing, I think I'm inspired by Black love. I mean, I really believe in Black love because I'm a product of Black love. I just believe in Black love. And I like when people say, well, I don't believe in Black love, I don't believe in romance. I'm like, that's sad.
Yeah.
I do. I lived it. And all I want to do is show that it does exist in my book.
And we love to see it for sure. Because sadly, like that was not even a thing that I knew, that I thought that people thought. But when Miss Beverly Jenkins shared a story about a person saying that they didn't know the Black people loved their kids or something like I'm like, what? So it's not even a thing that I knew, but it is something we want to see modeled. Because often in the media and stuff, you don't see that. So we want to definitely see more of that. So thank you for giving us those stories of Black love. And we definitely want to keep seeing more of them.
Thank you.
So now Gail Diamond says, Miss Jackson, who inspires you? What do you read? And she said, thank you for getting me through undergraduate school.
What do I read? Gosh, what time do I have to read? Let me see. When I was reading a lot of readers. I mean, you have to let Beverly tell you how she and I met at RWA with Night Song. And I don't know how many times I have read, over 30 times. I read Night Song, her first book.
Wow.
In fact, I read it so many times. I got an autographed hard copy of Night Song that was signed by both Beverly and Kendall McCarthy, the model on the original Night Song.
Wow.
I got so many copies of Night Song that was my go-to book when I wanted to curl up and read something that was so romantic. Kathleen Widowitz. I still read Shanna. My boys say, Mom, you ain't grown out of that yet. Because when they were kids, my husband would come home from work like dinner not cooked. Mama reading Shanna again and we starving. I'm like, y'all need to stop it. So they tease me about that book. Whenever they see Shanna laying around, you still reading that book? We starved because because of that book. I said, y'all need to get out of here. Y'all never start.
That is
But
funny.
Shanna, and then of course, Kathleen Widowis, Flame and a Flower, Brandon Birmingham. My son was named after the guy. You know, my husband said he was fussing at me all the way to the hospital. His name would not be Brandon Birmingham Jackson. I'm like, why not? I like Brandon. So we settled on Brandon because I pretty much convinced him, look, you got one named after you, which is Gerald. Brandon is close to Brenda. So he said, well, name it something else. Give him another middle name. Birmingham? No. H? No. So I named him Brandon Jovan Jackson. And so, yes, so that's how that, so, you know, I like Kathleen Widowis. If you like historical romances, read Beverly and then Kathleen Widowis. Hers are classic. I mean, Kathleen Widowis are classic because in the 80s, that's what we had. Okay. That's what we had.
You know, and so that's related to the next question I was going to ask you is Sharon Taylor Tidwell asked the question, who's your favorite author?
Oh, Lord. Why would she do that? Oh, my goodness.
And you don't have to pick one. You can name a few. Look, that's my addition to say you don't have to pick one. You can just name a few.
I can name a few. I mean, gosh. I read whenever I can read. I read a lot of authors and I admire their work. I read yours, Reese, and I love your work.
Oh, thank you.
I've read, yes, I do. I read, of course, Bev's. Iris Bowling. She is fantastic. I read Iris books.
Yes.
I read, let me see. One of the girls, it's so funny. One of the girls at my church, came up to me and asked me, have I ever read? Say, I know you don't read a lot of other authors because you're busy. If you have a chance, you need to read Delaney Diamond. I had never heard of Delaney Diamond.
Yes.
And so I'm like, who? Delaney Diamond. So I downloaded one of Delaney's books and I really enjoyed it. So I've read Delaney Diamond before and I enjoyed her book. And then Brenda Woodbury, my moderator. On Mondays, we get other authors a chance to come on my book club and promote their books. And I'm always buying their books. So I have an Amazon full of other authors, whoever promotes on mine, because otherwise I don't go anywhere to know what's out there. So we give you as a platform to say, look, if you're in the book club, you're an author, Brenda Jackson want to know about it because I want to read your books. And so, because I do download them, I get my list from Brenda Woodbury and I go to Kindle and I download. My bill every month is like whatever.
I know,
and
right?
You never know. Yeah. And you never know when I'm home by myself, I need a break from my writing that I may pull up. And that's what happened with Delaney Diamond. You know, even when my church member told me about her, it was like a month or so later, I was like, you know, let me read somebody else's stuff, you know. And that's what I did. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. I love Delaney Diamond. So highly recommend her for everybody out there.
Yes.
Okay.
And recommend yourself. Reese is a very good author.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Brenda. So Crystal Herbert, who is an author as well, asked a great question.
Crystal.
She says, is it hard to keep coming up with new and dynamic stories and characters? And also she asked, do you have a favorite couple from one of your books?
Yes, it is. I'm a pantster. Okay. A writer is either a plotter or a pantster. I don't think about my couples. I just write. I don't know what's going to happen to them. And Harlequin, they don't even, you know, they say, just give us a couple of lines. I don't do synopsis, you know, because I can tell you because I give you a synopsis and you believe it, and because it may not end up like I said it was going to end up.
Yeah.
I only know what's going to happen to these people when I start writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, I don't know. It's one of these things that when I start writing, and it all comes to me. So if I was to pick one of my a favorite couple, of course I would put Justin and Lauren because they were my first couple. But I like the couples that for some reason that's feisty, like Clayton and Sunita, Dalton and Jules, uh, Sir Drake and Tori. I like and I love Bane and Crystal because their love surpassed time. So I got a lot of favorite couples. All of my couples are my favorite because when I was writing them, something about them was special.
Mm.
Like the one in this book here, Andrew and Tony, they were special.
Mm. I love it. Okay. So much great information we've got. And a lot of people have said things like that, like so much knowledge. Stephanie said, it's just so much good information we're getting here. So exciting stuff. So let me ask some questions now. I'm going to switch over and ask a few questions from some people live because we're going to give away 2 mugs to people who are asking live, as well as 3 from people who submitted questions. So Shannon Harper.
Hi, Shannon.
She asked, is there another genre you'd be interested in writing in?
My phone. Yes. My family think I should write nonfiction books. And one of the first nonfiction, my great grandfather was part of the Tuskegee study.
Mm.
And
Wow.
that's more prevalent with my family member now that they're talking about shooting people up with vaccines and all of that.
Right.
And we're like, don't do it because, that's what happened to my grandfather. They shot him up with syphilis and then they withheld medication for him to get well. So that's and so my family think, won't you write that story? It's been done, Miss Beverly Boys. We saw it on television. But no, you need to write it as the great granddaughter of. So maybe one day I will get around to writing that story. And there is another story that's been near and dear to my heart. It's going to be fiction, but it's also mixed with a little bit of reality. And so I haven't gotten all the notes and details yet, but I will start writing that book probably within another year. And it will be I think it'll be similar to Ties That Bind, but I'm not going to say less romance because I can't ever remember. I can't think of writing a book without romance. Maybe not with as much romance.
Wow. And I had no idea about that story about you said your grandfather.
Yes.
And that's another thing I was thinking the other day when somebody was talking about, the fact that a lot of people are, wary about taking a vaccine because, that's the kind of history that we think back to, especially when it comes to people of color.
One of the first ones to take it.
We want to test stuff out on us. So yes, that's the kind of bad history, and a lot of people don't know about that. So so they purposely infected, black men with syphilis,
and they were sharecroppers,
because they want to see what's going to happen to them.
Yeah,
our family. That's why we don't want to take your vaccine first,
right? And when somebody said we're going to take it on the campuses of the HBCUs. I'm like, no, I think you ain't no try that with us. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I thought that was really suspicious sounding.
Yeah,
You know, I'm not
yeah,
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but we have the history of what
yeah.
happened
And I
with your
know the
grandfather and other
history.
men.
I know the
That
history.
that right away was a red flag to
If
me when it
you
was like,
do
we want to take you
any,
to the HBCU. Yeah,
yeah,
why? Why are
hmm
you not taking it to Harvard
yes,
or Columbia?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, if you ever do research on Tuskegee's study, and they list the name of the men, my great grandfather was Robert Randolph. We're from the Randolph. My grandmother
the great
was this.
grandfather. Okay, got
Yeah, Robert Randolph was my grandfather, who was one of the men. And his name, I got books with his name listed, as one of their guinea pigs. So
it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think especially on top of that history is the fact that I'm just concerned because it does not feel like we have the
yeah,
same
it's
kind of
getting rushed.
protections and safeguards, right, that we normally had when we had normal, CDC, processes
Right,
and stuff.
that's true.
That concerns me. So one
Yeah.
of the questions I was looking for that I cannot find right now, but I saw Mickey Black had asked earlier if you have advice for writing couples, creating chemistry between the couples that you write. I couldn't find it to put it on the screen, but I remember that question.
Do I have what now?
Advice for how to create chemistry between the couples that you're writing.
First, well, I'm not going to even say they even got to like each other. Chemistry is just, chemistry. First of all, you got to understand what chemistry is. Chemistry is just the sexual awareness, sexual attraction, and it's more what you feel versus what you write. So that's why whenever I write, I get into my characters. The first time that, and I want to use Justin and Lauren because a lot of people have read. The first time he saw Lauren, he felt something.
Mm.
She may not think she had thought she felt something, but he felt something. It's a pull, and you have to write it in a way that the reader can feel it when you write it. When she walks into the room, or when they meet each other, their eyes, from across the room,
Yeah.
or and it could be they didn't like each other. Jules definitely didn't like Dalton when they first met. She thought he was like arrogant, whatever. But an attraction has to be there, and with that attraction come chemistry. Oh,
Yeah.
there's nothing you just have to feel it when you're writing it. And I feel it. I mean, I could feel it when I'm writing my characters. And I was teasing with a couple that I talked to today, a couple of friends. I say, I'm writing a love scene. Wow. And, these people, they would have done it pages ago, but it wasn't right. I
Mm.
wasn't ready. You feel
Hmm.
it. It's something that you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thoroughly believe that if you don't feel the emotions when you're writing
Yeah.
the scene, like especially if it's like a sad scene or whatever, if you don't feel those emotions, the reader is probably not gonna feel them
You're
either.
gonna feel it either, right?
Right. And I just want to put Edwina Brown's comment up. She says, "Thanks, Miss Brenda, for hours upon hours of reading
Oh,
joy."
thank you,
What a
Edwina.
nice,
Thank you.
nice
Thank
comment.
you.
And Caitlin asked a question. Caitlin Warrow, who is your favorite
Hi,
Harlequin
Caitlin.
author? She said, "Who is your favorite Harlequin author? And if you teamed up with another author on a series, who would you choose?"
Oh
I
gosh,
know, right? That's a loaded one right there.
who is my favorite Harlequin author? I like all Harlequin authors. I'm not going to say I have a favorite because there are so many good authors out there, and I don't read not just one person. I read your books, Reese. I read a lot, especially when it was Kamani. I used to get the Kamanis regularly, and I would read them when I have the chance. And I
Mm,
think when you write 6 books a year, when I'm not writing, I'm doing research for those books.
mhm.
And then to motivate me, I write, I look at movies, I'm looking at Hallmark. I look at Netflix, and I go to the romance movies to see. And of course, Hallmark is a little bit more nice than what I want. I'm like, do these people kiss? Do they ever go in the bedroom? So of course, I'm all into rewriting whatever they've written to put my own little spin on it. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just go write my own book. So I really don't have a favorite Harlequin author because I love all of them that I read.
It's such
And
a
if, I,
wide variety too. So
and if you team with another author on a series, who would you choose? Another author on a series. Now, when I did the Texas Cattleman, I
mm.
didn't choose. They just say you want to be in it, and these are the authors that's in it. And that was fine. And I
Mhm.
got to meet a lot of good authors that way.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't,
It's a fun experience too doing that Texas
yeah,
Color
and I
Club
guess
and getting to meet the
a
other
series
authors
I
and
don't
getting to work
do.
with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do series with other authors. I mean, what I do is other authors. I'm either in their book as a bonus book, or they're in my book as a bonus book. And one thing that I do have an agreement with Harlequin is that I have to agree to the author who books they put me in. Because I know what my books are. My
Yeah.
books are hot books, they're steamy books. And if they put me in there with somebody who don't have any love scenes, then I'm like, what? And they did that before, and I think that's why this came up.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, how you put me my hot stuff with someone who barely hold hands with her guy?
Right. Right.
So to keep that, my agent said, before y'all put Brenda with anyone, y'all have to get her approval.
I like
And
that's smart. That makes a lot of
yes,
sense.
and that because I know what I write, and
Mhm.
everybody not comfortable being teamed with a Brenda Jackson novel because I write hot stuff. So, you know,
Well, I do. So I'm glad that they've teamed us together
yes,
3 different
yes,
times
yes.
for
And
those
when they
summer
called
reads.
me, I'm like, certainly, yes, you
I feel
know.
like I feel even more privileged now that I know
Yes,
that.
yes, knowing that, yes, that I gave my approval. Yes,
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
you're
Now,
welcome.
summer reads ask, what is your schedule like writing 6 books a year?
Oh gosh, you don't think I have a life, do you, Summer? Well, what I do this year, because of the pandemic, made it easy
Yeah.
because I'm taking this pandemic seriously. I've had friends, parents that died from the pandemic, so I put out notice to my family, do not visit me. I'm not visiting you. Call to check up on me, but do not come to visit. My son, when he knows if, and my son is in and out because he in the film industry,
Mhm.
he knows if I'm home and he's home at the same time, wear a mask, okay? Because I don't know who you've been around. So
Right.
you wear your mask, okay? So
Right.
I have plenty of time to write, but I never want my publisher to think that I want to just write. I have a life. I want to look at movies. I want to I love coloring. Anybody know Miss Jackson? My readers send me coloring books. They still do send me coloring books. I think I'm a chartered member with Crayola Crayon. They let me know when they come out with a new color. We got macaroni and cheese, and they send me the sample, and I just add it to my little bag. I love coloring. So that's how I spend my time. It's a time that I could relax and I can whatever. So My schedule, I know what books I want to write. Like, I know what books I need to write for 2021. And I'm looking at, like, how am I going to get all these books written? But somehow I do, because I want to do at least two of my own. And I know what I'll have to do for Harlequin. So I have to get it all done. And I just come up with a schedule. I don't pre-plan nothing. I think about it. This is what I would like to do. And when I see a free moment, I plug it in and I do it. But you have to be ready to do it. Can't think about it before you do it. You have to know who you're going to write about, where it's going to take place and everything. Everybody's going to want book 2 of the Men of Action. People know they want the masters. I do the Bennetts, they want the other 2 of the triplets of the masters. So whether I could do it or not would depend on how my writing schedule is. A lot of my cruise with my readers got canceled by the cruise line. Other events got canceled. I'm doing more Zoom now with my sorority and with other things. So I try to just keep it real and to do what I can do and not overdo it.
Yeah.
Don't want to get stressed.
Right. You don't want to burn yourself out. And that can be easy to do. Because, I mean, how many books have you written so far?
137.
Wow. That's so impressive. That's even with a 25-year career. That's super impressive. Louise Brown asked a question that I would like to know too. And that question is, are you going to write more books with women over 50? I turned 50 this year, so this is a question I am very interested in.
I want to it's squeezing a book in. I wrote 'Tis the Season for Romance, which was, I had an 80-year-old lady write me, say, I love reading your books, but I'm tired of reading about these young guys that's my grandson age. But you make them a little older. And I said, how old do you want? At least 50 or 60. I settled with that. So that's why I did not Ties the Time, but 'Tis the Season for Romance. So yes, at some point I will. It's just fitting it in. It's on my to-do schedule. If I could get to writing my next Madera's Christmas book, the 3 couples that I plan on writing about are over 50. The first couple is the parents of Shayla, who is in True Love. The second couple is Hawk and the aunt of the young lady that was in Slow Burn. So, and the third couple, just like I did Diana and Senator Nedwin Lansing, they were an older couple. I plan on cultivating romances in those stories. So, but they're all over 50. I just have to have time to write them.
I love it. Now, there's 2 more. I'm going to ask 2 last questions from readers because they so good. I want to answer to them myself. One of them is, and this is also Louise Brown, asked, would you and Beverly Jenkins write a book together?
I think we would. In fact, we were supposed to. Me and Bev, we passed time writing a book. When you say writing a book together, I don't think we will write the same story. Some readers, you write chapter 1, I write chapter 2. That is too consuming. But I can see me and Bev writing a story together. I'm speaking, Bev hasn't said it. I think we did years ago, but we both started writing. And then Bev, like me, in the movie business and all of that. So it's, if we could come together and write an anthology. She's one of the few that I would write an anthology with. I won't write an anthology with everybody.
Right.
But, because it takes time, but we call each other the 2 BJs. I never forget when she and I had a pajama party together. And that was the best thing. And they evidently didn't know that we have a lot of readers together. They had to end up getting another room at that conference because, the 2 BJs. And that's what we call each other, the 2 BJs. So yeah, I think of Beverly is she is such a phenomenal person and a dear
Mm-hmm.
friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She is. She's amazing.
Yes, she
Love
is
her, love
amazing.
her. I'm so excited that she's going to be joining us
I'm gonna
next
have
month.
to tune in because
Yeah,
yes, just
on November the
remind
4th.
me.
So yes,
So 'cause
yes. I
like
wish
you,
I
I'm
had,
under
had time to
deadline.
post it before I
Yeah.
came on today. But yeah, I will make sure I remind everybody. And Shannon Harper said, I would love to see the two of you in an anthology. I think that
Well,
we
y'all
all
mentioned that
would.
to Bev because like we were supposed to do that when Bev was writing. I think Bev wrote for Kamani a couple of times,
Mm-hmm,
or and we
mm-hmm,
were going to get something together then and submit it to them. And both of us got tied up on other projects. So
mm-hmm.
right
Yeah.
now, I know she's busy. She's going to even be busier
Yes,
with
with
the
Hopetown.
our
With
broker
Hopetown,
thing.
yes.
Yeah, because I know how that is because I've
Mm-hmm.
done that, with the passion flick thing. So hopefully we'll sit in the rocker one of these days and so okay, Bev, we want to write, let's do it. Yeah.
I I love it. All right, so our last question from a reader
Okay.
is Kirsten Fain says, I love the Bennett series. How hard was it to develop how the family was related to each other?
Oh gosh, let me tell you. During that time, I wrote that book for therapy. Believe it or not, a family reunion, because they put me in charge of my own family reunion that year. I'm like, look, and that book was fun to write because everybody I named in that book, I'm some kin to. Okay, also all my relatives, you Victor Jr., Ray Jean. I mean, and you know what? Everybody got one of these people in their family. Everybody got a cousin that you think is your Aunt Mabel child and find out there's your Aunt Sissy child that Mabel took. It's all in our family. I was finding out stuff like, really? Honestly? Let me put this in my book, you know. So that's how the Bennetts came about. And 15 years went by before I could come back to the Bennett family because I was doing other things. I said, wait a minute, these girls have grown up. Now I'm really writing about these four girls that were in their early teens when they were doing family reunions. I'm having fun. In fact, the one coming out Christmas is the book that's I'm working on now. So I'm having fun with
Awesome.
yeah, I'm having fun with them. I really am with Monica and Sabrina.
Love it. Now,
Hey, Carolyn.
I said I wasn't going to put up another one, but my girl Carolyn. Hey, Carolyn,
Hey,
Hector Hall.
Carolyn, that's my girl
We
too.
love Carolyn.
Yeah.
So this is what I was thinking too when you were talking about you and Miss Bev writing together. Carolyn says, I can see y'all writing a generational family starting in the 1800s up to the present. That's what I was thinking too. Is like you could take care of the present day, and then she could
Yeah,
take
because
care of the
Bev is
historical.
a master of the past day. I
Yeah.
couldn't, how she could keep up with all of that, what they wore, what they eat. It was bad enough going back to 1965 and ties that bind. I can't imagine going back in the 1900s and 20s and 30s or whenever. So that's not bad,
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
Both Bev and I, you told me now we got to convince Bev, and then you got to find time for us, Carolyn.
Yes, that's the other part, right? And then
Yeah.
Summer Reed says that would be so great. The Madeiras ancestors from the 19th century. So, yes. Okay. So many great questions from readers.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to name, first of all, I'm going to say who won the cups. And then I'm going to ask you one last question before you go. And first of all, don't you have another book coming out soon? A Desire book in December?
This one.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I knew you had some more.
Moreland. That's an outlaw book.
Okay. So now the winners of the mugs. So first, the three readers who sent their questions in advance, who won from my readers group, are Michelle Hines McCormick, and I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name, Shyanthia Thonic Farley Hembry, and Tori Brown are the 3 readers from within the group who are going to win one of Miss Brenda's commemorative 25 years in writing books. And then the 2 who asked the question here are Louise Brown.
I think Louise, ask Louise. I think Louise already got a mug.
Okay, she already got a mug. Perfect. How about Shannon Harper?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Shannon Harper and Summer Reads.
Okay. And if I'm wrong, Louise, let me know. But I think, and I can go back and check my records. I don't know whether or not she's gotten a. I try not to give the same person my anniversary mug or the other mug. Now we got the this mug here, which is the Men of Action mug, and you get the other mug. That's fine. I don't care if you collect that. I just don't want one person to get the same mug. So,
And now, look, I'm going to sneak in one more question. And that's Roxy A. Jones asked, will you be traveling to different states in the new year?
Not if I can help it. Not unless this pandemic leaves us. And that's why when Passion Flick say we putting the next Brother's Honor on the schedule, I'm like, Lord. Because I like to be on set because I am a consultant on set.
Right.
And I was there every day, the whole filming hours. And I'm not ready to be there yet until they get this pandemic under control.
And I got a feeling, I'm sorry to say, it's going to be here for a long time, at least here, especially
the way it's being handled. Even if there's a change in presidents, we still, and I know scientists takes over. There's a lot to clean up. Okay, a lot to do. So I can still see this pandemic lasting until this time next year. So
sadly, I fear that we will be in it for a very long time, especially as long as people are selfish and don't care about others. So enough to wear masks and do things like that. So there is a question that I do want to ask you. Somebody asked, and she asked, do you read your own books? That's Rhonda Davis asked, do you read your own books?
Yeah, I have to. And luckily for me, I don't, I read them by audio because of I'm always writing continuation books, and I don't have time to sit down and read my books. So knowing they're on audio, like right now, I'm listening to a Bennett's Wedding on audio because I'm writing the girls' book. So I got to read to see, what happened. When you write continuation, your readers will point stuff out to you like, whoa.
Yes.
Yes. And that happened to me when I was writing a Westmoreland book. I was writing Canyon book. And all of a sudden, Canyon became an attorney. In the earlier book, he was in medical school. And I'm like, oops. So then somewhere I had to put that he thought he was in medical school for a minute. And then he thought, I don't want to be a doctor. So he became an attorney. Because I forgot he was in medical school. I thought he was always an attorney. So you forget stuff. Yeah. So you need to read your own stuff.
You do. That was some great advice I got in a class I think I took from Marie Force, maybe, about reading your own, especially when you write a new book in your series, going back and really from the beginning, even she suggested reading all of the books in the series. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I just read my books because I like the characters, I miss them, like Parker and Kaylee in Engaged in the Enemies. Sometimes I just feel like I might not read the whole book, but I might go in and read certain scenes or whatever that I enjoy.
My books, because of audio books, I listen to a book before I go to sleep. It puts me to sleep. And then I'm like, I wake up like, okay, now where did it stop? Now I have to push it back to whatever. But I always, because I have to. Because all my books, I haven't written but one book that was not part of a series, and that was Silk and Thread. All my books are connected. So
Yeah,
when you write books that's only connected, you need to know about the connections of the books. So that's
absolutely.
why I listen to my
Like you
own
said, the
book.
readers are gonna remember that different
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
And
Say,
so,
can you
do you
tell
do,
us
do you do you have a story, a series or a series Bible?
a series? I don't, but again, Brenda Woodbury keeps up with all my stuff for me.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like I said, she knows the name of all my heroes, my heroines, their children, and that's what we're trying to figure out now. Who had, because people want to know, did so and so have a baby? Oh, I didn't know they was pregnant. Let me go back. So, we trying to keep all of that, but you have to when you
Yeah.
write series books, especially with me writing uh the Men of Action. People want to know what's happening with the Grangers. They want to know what's happening with the Protectors. Are they who pregnant? So I brought some of that stuff up to date and Entangled Pursuits. But yeah. And I love
Cool.
writing crossover books. Like I'm gonna tell the readers this, and I'm gonna see how many of them remember this character. Landon Chestnut was introduced in the Jeffrey series in Spontaneous. He is my hero that I'm writing about for one of the Bennett girls. So just like a lot of people, when I did Victoria book, and I bought one of the heroes from a Medeiros book. The Medeiros, the Bride for Christmas, the guy that was undercover, that was everybody thought was a bad guy until the end. He was the hero for one of the Bennett's girls.
Ooh,
So
nice.
I'm killing two birds with one stone here. People wanted Landon book years ago, so now he's gonna be with the Bennett.
I love it. I love it. And you were right about Louise Brown. She said she does have the anniversary mug and the Men of Action mug. She said, I would like an advanced copy of Garth's book, Smiling. She is slick when you gotta watch her.
Oh yeah, yes,
Awesome. Well, thank
yes.
you so much for spending this time with us. We all enjoyed it, as you can tell. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I'm gonna forward you the information from each of the readers. So if you are a winner who won one of the mugs, make sure you email me at connect@reesryan.com. That's connect@rees, REES, as in Sam, ERYAN.com. Email me to say that you were a winner so that you can give me your address. Format it correctly, please. And so that I can pass it on to Miss Brenda so she can send you your mug. So thank you again for talking to us,
Oh,
for sharing
thank
your
you.
wisdom, giving us all of this. So tell people where they should look for you next, or what they should do, connect with you next, or get from you next.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna be in Cavalcades this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be one of the 70 some authors in Cavalcades. I'm looking forward to that. I
Yeah.
love working with Lisa on that. Um, my next book doesn't come out until December. I have two on December. I have Garth book, which is the next book in the Westmoreland Legacy series. And then I have, hopefully, this book I'm working on now, which is the Bennett's Christmas. So since it is a Christmas book, I guess I need to make sure that it comes out for Christmas. And right now it's slotted to come out on Christmas Day. And in between in October, those of you who read Savvy Sisters, I took one of the stories out of the anthology, Forever Mine, and I'm issuing them as single books because people ask for that. So the first one is my interracial book, The Sweetest Taboo. That's Mike, and Sonia. So hopefully, and that comes out this month, October 15th, and it's only an ebook. If you want the big book, you still have to do Forever Mine. So
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again. Like I said, we're just thrilled
I
to
enjoyed this.
have had you here with us. And thank you for, like I said, holding it down when my
Yeah.
internet decided to play
Oh, I
games.
didn't know. I was sitting here and I'm like, wait a minute, she left me. Am I
And
by
you even called
myself?
me.
Am
I
I
tried to
even
answer the
on?
phone. Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you
was such
for
a pleasure.
inviting me. And I am proud of you, Reese. I
Thank
keep up
you.
with you. I know your writing. It was so good. For so long, I was the only sister in Desires. And I'm like, y'all gonna bring somebody over here with me? Maybe, really. And so now I got a whole bunch of sisters with me, and
Yes.
I'm so proud of you all, and
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate
Thank you so much. And I am so excited, and I'm proud of Desire for putting their money where their mouth is
you.
in
Yes,
terms of diversifying this line. Out of all
yes,
of the series lines, I would say Desire is the most diverse. I'm constantly seeing new names that are coming
yes.
up. I saw Niobe Bryant is going to be having a book. I didn't realize she was having one come up. So there's so many authors they've been adding to the line. Nikki Knight's got one coming up,
Yes.
and Laquette. So it's so many authors of color. Robin Covington. Just J.C. Lee. They've really starting to mix it up, and I'm loving
And
it. Loving it.
that's good
Loving it. Yeah.
because love is colorblind. And one thing I learned about Desire, you know, because Rochelle Allers and I were the first two.
Mm-hmm.
The people, we got some pushback, but by and large, you write a good romance story, people will embrace it.
Yeah.
You don't want to educate nobody. You just want to write a love story.
Right.
They want an education. They need to go somewhere else. I tell people, I don't educate you in my books about Black love. I tell you it exists in words,
Right.
in deeds, and in action with my hero and heroine.
Right.
You don't have to worry about how my girl get her hair back after she goes swimming. No, I don't have to tell you what was chemically.
You're not revealing all the secrets.
Whatever. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I like that too. Like I'm from the Shonda Rhimes school of diversity and fiction. I feel like I write the world as I feel it. I would like to see it.
Yes.
So look at it like that.
Yes, definitely.
So you don't even have to give you a speech about it. I'm just going to show you.
Right.
Though in this book
Right.
I do have coming out.
It is what it is.
There is some speeches. You're gonna get some education. It's more just based on conversation that they're having about things that Black people deal with in the workplace. It's not me trying to teach anybody. It's just the conversations we have.
Right.
So
that's true.
It was interesting because I was wondering if they were going to keep that, if they were going to let me keep that in there, and they never questioned any of that. So I'm excited about that as well. So, and the fact that they also let me, because like you said, a lot of times with the Hallmark and stuff, the stories, the hand, it's just that one little kiss at the end or whatever. And so a lot of times with small town, they think of it as being not hot, but we're going what we're calling it sexy, sexy small town. So
yeah.
Yes. So okay. All right. I'm gonna stop holding you up so we can go catch up and watch our video of Kamala Harris in this VP debate, because I know we both want to see that. So
yes,
there probably a lot of you do too. So hopefully you watched it on your DVR or you'll catch the highlights later. So all right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you enjoyed this episode. Please let Miss Brenda know how much you enjoyed it. Hit like, subscribe, recommend it to your friends, and don't forget to come back on November 4th for Miss Beverly Jenkins. Hey. Until next time.
Bye.